Thank you, Chair. So I just want to touch on the $4.7 million again for the PEI Potato Board. Has that agreement with the PEI Potato Board actually been signed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that we're aware of.
Mermaid Stratford.
Does an agreement exist?
There was some discussions for sure. The agreement was being discussed between the Potato Board and Cavendish Farms and the Department of Agriculture. And when I asked when the budget was going through that whether or not that agreement, A, had any money been spent, and B, where the agreement was signed, at least as of last week, it wasn't signed at that point in time.
Mermaid Stratford.
Okay, and I find that interesting. So the agreement was between the PEI Potato Board and the department, and I've asked a lot of questions on this one, and I was led to believe that there was an agreement, and I actually asked if that agreement would be tabled in the House immediately, and I think that was about, 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago now. So am I understanding that there's not actually an agreement?
I have an intervention from the Minister of Agriculture.
So the latest update is that this money probably won't be needed because of the situation. Won't be needed in that sense, but we are still in talks with the potato board over the seed potato shortage, or the seed potato situation where a lot of seed potato was left on the table. So that money will likely go that direction now.
Mermaid Stratford.
And that's fair, because I understand seed potato growers definitely have had a difficult season given the fact that not as many acres was planted. But my understanding, though, can money just be repurposed?
I just confirmed that will come to Treasury Board again before it will be spent on something else.
Mermaid Stratford.
Thank you, Minister, for that. And would that follow the process of the COVID contingency funds of each of the departments? So the Department of Agriculture would have had a contingency fund that they would have required. Is that the process that you'll follow when it comes back to Treasury Board?
Any spend that is to be done has to come to Treasury Board. If it's been agreed upon and allotted to a certain department or special situation, then it can be spent. But if they're going to repurpose it for something else, then that has to come back to Treasury Board to be approved.
Mermaid Stratford.
Thank you. And when it comes to Treasury Board, will you require a signed contract to identify what that money is, how that money is supposed to be spent, and what the parameters are around the contract?
Absolutely, yeah. I think because of this was part of the COVID, the 4.7 was part of COVID, and was there earmarked to be used for that particular purpose. It couldn't be used for anything else, but we wanted to ensure that it was there in case it was needed. And, there were a lot of, emergency decisions made, but we definitely, everything went to Treasury Board and was agreed upon beforehand. So we knew where the money would go if it was spent.
Mermaid Stratford.
Thank you for that, Minister, and I would agree with that. The challenge that I have is we earmarked $4.7 million with no contract, with no documentation, from what I'm understanding.
Intervention.
Intervention from the Minister of Agriculture.
The contract has been with the potato board all this time, and it hasn't been signed because they don't believe it's going to be activated. So it's been in their possession all this time. So.
Mermaid Stratford.
There's nothing.
Okay. So can you table that contract?
None of that has been spent, so it would not have been, if any of it had to be spent, there would have been a signed contract before that happened. Yeah.
Mermaid Stratford.
Right, but if the money needed to be spent, it would have been spent, and there's no contract in place in order to spend it. So prior to approving money that going out to a certain entity, don't you require a certain number of steps to be completed prior to that?
So it was allotted for 4.7 was allotted for that spend, but budgeted for that spend, but we did not spend it yet, and there is a contract drawn up, and there would be no money allocated to the potato board until that contract was signed and in government's hands.
Member Stratford?
Okay, so like I said I had asked for that to be tabled, and the minister agreed to table that contract. So could I have a commitment that that will be tabled?
Yes.
Member
Thank
Stratford?
you. It doesn't have to be signed,
yeah.
but it doesn't have to be signed in order for you to table a contract. So I have no more questions, Chair. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Shall the section carry? Shall the budget carry?